Welcome to the Accessibility Services module on Disability Awareness, Strategies for Success. Disability is a complex topic that can be explained and explored through a variety of lenses, including critical disability theory and studies, the spiritual and moral model of disability, and the medical model of disability, which reflects the medicalization of persons with disabilities. The social model of disability recognizes the impact of societal responses to people with disabilities, which may vary over time and between cultures and locations. The social ecological model of disability looks at the intersection between a person's strengths and challenges relative to their environment. Emphasis is placed on supports that promote the success of the individual. The human rights model of disability encourages all members of society to uphold the dignity of the person. With the understanding that disability as a concept varies and evolves, it is important to reflect on the relationship between indigeneity and disability. On Turtle Island, North America, Indigenous communities have different interpretations of disability. Many Indigenous languages do not have a word for disability. As a concept, disability does not align with Indigenous perspectives about difference and instead perpetuates colonialism. If an Indigenous person presents as disabled, the goal is to support the person using a holistic approach to care that centers on Indigenous knowledge and values. As you reflect on the concept of disability in relationship to yourself and others, consider the following. How has each model of disability impacted how you see yourself and persons with disabilities? What are the impacts of promoting each model of disability on you and persons with disabilities? Based on the lens through which you view disability, how can you be proactive in supporting your learning needs? Disability can be organized into, but not limited to, the following categories: acquired brain injuries, autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, chronic illness, systemic medical disability, deaf, deafened, hard of hearing disability, learning disabilities, low vision and blindness disability, mental health related disorders, physical and mobility disability. How you talk about disability in relation to an individual matters. An individual may prefer an identity-first approach. For example, an individual with autism may prefer to be called an autistic person. In contrast, an individual that prefers a person-first approach may request that others refer to them as a person with autism. When talking about disability, be mindful that certain words and phrases may be interpreted as perpetuating misconceptions and ableism, depending on the model people follow and how an individual views their identity. Disability disclosure can be a positive opportunity to create a more inclusive learning environment, but it is a choice and not a requirement. When and what information you disclose is up to you. Be sure to reflect on the reasons for disclosure, who you will be sharing the information with, and what information will you be sharing. It may also be useful to offer suggestions or solutions that may support your success. If you are not sure what to do, ask for help. If a person chooses to disclose information about their disability to you, take time to reflect on the implications as it relates to that person, and be sure to show gratitude and respect for their privacy. Your perspective, understanding, and lived experience of disability can affect how and why you learn the way you do. Identifying how you learn may include an evaluation on how disability impacts your academic experience and exploring skill-building opportunities. Academic skill building can promote active participation in learning using strategies and supports that complement an individual's learning-based preferences and needs, specific to time management, reading, note-taking, class participation, communication, studying, and test-taking. It is important to be mindful of the fact that academic skill building is a gradual process that should evolve and adapt over time through increased self-awareness, self-determination, and self-advocacy. To manage your academics more effectively, keep it simple and begin by following the 10 tips for success. Tip number 1. When you wake up, check in with your well-being before determining your goals and tasks for the day and time allotted for each goal and task. Tip number 2. Before and after completing your schoolwork, participate in activities that are more likely to increase your focus and productivity, or keep it simple and practice good deep belly breathing. Tip number 3. Use a method for mapping out your schedule that offers flexibility and sustainability long term. It may also be helpful to schedule 1 to 3 days at a time and break up your day down into productive time blocks to ensure your level of productivity reflects your capacity. Tip number 4. Keep track of your focus, fatigue, and productivity, and be mindful of how long you can engage in tasks relative to the threshold before onset or worsening of symptoms. Tip number 5. Develop a good communication plan with your instructors and supervisors to ensure they are aware of your learning needs and can facilitate best practices to support your academic success. For example, sit near the front of the class and ask your instructor to repeat questions and commentary shared by your peers during class. Tip number 6. Be sure to determine the most effective methods for reading, writing, and note-taking, both online and in person, and with and without the use of assistive technology. Tip number 7. To encourage ongoing retention and recall of information, engage in spaced repetition and synthesis of information. Be sure to divide the content into manageable chunks to support sorting and pairing of information. Tip number 8. Before starting a test, create a list of academic wellness strategies, which may include a variety of grounding techniques and taking scheduled breaks to change positions and move your body. Tip number 9. Focus on building competency and agility with assistive technology by staying up to date and well educated on developments in assistive technology. Tip number 10. When additional support with course content is required, identify who you need to ask for help. What type of question are you asking and why, and next best steps. For example, you may need to connect with your academic advisor to discuss sequencing of courses if you reduce your course load. All the information you gather can be organized in a chart for reference as needed. Remember, keep it simple and use the 10 tips for success to enhance your skill set and develop a learning plan that is right for you. For information on how to access services and supports through accessibility services, including information on learning strategies and troubleshooting in the online environment, please register for the Accessibility Services Learn course and subscribe to the Accessibility Services YouTube channel.